Hey there, toy collector friends and Battlestar Galactica friends. In particular, welcome back to the channel. I'm the time-traveling toy collector, and this is the Battlestar Galactica official ships collection modern Cylon Raider from the Hero Collector range of Battlestar Galactica starships. Yep, so this is the modern day version of the old Cylon Raider that, if you recall, and there is already a video up for the classic Cylon Raider. It was sort of a disc-shaped thing. This is far more of a pincer-esque design, and one of the key things that I particularly like about this, and I appreciate I'm cutting straight to the chase here, is this fascinating design choice within this new model, which is to have what looks like the old Cylon warrior, the Cylon Centurion face as the cockpit slash sentient guidance unit for these ships. I think that's a really fascinating design choice that was carried forward. So this appeared in the reboot series along with the Viper Mk2 that I've recently done a video on, but it whereas originally they were piloted, whichever, by the Cylon Centurion, I think 3 pilots that always seem to be twiddling knobs instead of doing anything useful. It now has that sort of Cylon-esque head sculpt at the pinnacle of it, which I just think is absolutely spectacular. Anyway, enough waffling about that. Let's take a look at the actual design itself. It has these twin cannons here. In the series it also had nuclear weapons on board, as did pretty much a lot of the battle fleets in the ship. There's a lot of scarring and weathering on this, but it's just a beautiful design, and it's also quite hefty. I mean, I'll obviously pick it up shortly and show you. Again, it's another one of those ships that's really quite long, so I have to not put it on the turntable so that I can manipulate it manually, so that I can keep it in frame, keep it in shot, and it doesn't tear up the review station whilst I turn it around. I think I need to invest in a bigger review station for some of these ships. But look, you can just see the sweep of this ship's design. It's really spectacular, really is. I'm just going to go round again on this side so you can see some of the Cylon markings that they have on the side there, and some of the detail in the panel work. But I think really what's particularly striking alongside that really just incredible head sculpt element is the scoring and the battle scarring that really for me is really very authentic looking. I know it's often tricky to put battle damage and battle scoring on models without it looking a little bit artificial and a little bit rubbish. Let's be candid, rubbish. I think this one really does it. The Cylons of old were gleaming silver monstrosities, and this screams it once was a gleaming silver monstrosity, but is now a dirty, war-bitten, war-battered ship. Again, we can see the triple thrust here, not too dissimilar to the Colonial Viper design, and one wonders, given the history between the two, whether they borrowed heavily from that. Again, there's not huge amounts of panel detailing and surface detailing to spend too much time looking at, but what there is very minimalist and very functional. And I think when you are a robotic species, minimalist and functional is probably very likely what you're going to get. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that these two, I'm going to try and put it back there so I can show you this, these two prongs here are not symmetrical. There's a slight imbalance in terms of how they project forwards, and I can't be 100% sure whether it's a warping in the design of the ship or it's by design that it looks like that. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit just so you can get a really good look at that sort of face and the twin guns there. I think it's really really good. And you can see the detailing there along that neck piece, with the pipes that are sort of interconnect to that battle fuselage. I really, really love the extent of the detailing that they've given this. I mean, every inch of it is, I'll zip around there, every inch of it is really, really well depicted. You know, they've really got the feel and the sense of the enormity of this space superior battleship, because that's really what it is. It's, you know, and anyone that's watched the series of Battlestar Galactica, whether it's the new or the old, will be familiar with how the Cylon Raiders and the Colonial Vipers are renowned for their dogfights. So what I may actually do when I'm finished this sort of appreciative review of the ship is I may well, when I do my usual photos of the Cylon Raider in situ, if you like, with some star cloth activity, I think I may also add in that modern modern Colonial Viper as well, just to get a bit of contrast of the two together. So let's pick this thing up and get you a nice closer look. Again, it's weighted quite heavily. It's ABS plastic with die cast, and I think you really get a sense that the die cast again is in the main fuselage, so you can really feel the weight around the center. This is ABS plastic forming much of the outer hull and the pincer wings, and indeed the twin guns. But I think, you know, this is a really, really good model, and it again, so many of the models that they produce, it lends itself really well to toy photography, starship photography, whatever you want to call it. I don't know whether anyone else sees this, whether it's just me looking at it from this perspective, but this also for me evokes the sort of xenomorph from the Alien movie franchise. I know it clearly isn't, and it very clearly is the in inverted commas modernized version of the Cylon, transplanted into individual raider ships, but it just is reminiscent to me of the xenomorph. But that could just be saying more about me than it says about pretty much anything else. So let's try and get up close with that main body, and we'll have a look at the, apologies as I should get out of shot to turn it around. There's the thruster array, so if I get that in the lighting you can see that a bit better. So yeah, the thruster array there is particularly nicely detailed. You can't move that slightly so I can have a bit of scope to pop it right under the lights there for you. There you go. So you can see here the thrust array is inlaid there. It's essentially a dual thrust in each of the outlets, slightly shadowed and hooded in its positioning there, but nevertheless three very powerful engines, I've no doubt. Let's take a look at the underside. There's to say that there's not an awful lot of surface detailing on the top, which I stand by because it's true. There is certainly quite a bit underneath. So you can see those exhaust ports there, the thrusters, are very well detailed under here. And there's frankly a lot more under surface, sort of dorsal paneling and detailing than there is at the top of these blades, I think we want to call them. There is another variant, some of you may have already seen it, it's been out for a while. There is another variant of this ship which is called Scar, and it is actually one of the, it's a very specific entry into the range of Cylon Raiders. It's one that Cara Thrace, aka Starbuck, engaged with in the battle, if I remember rightly. I know I'm going back a bit now, and as such it was very badly damaged, but she saw it again in battle, and it was deeply scored and scarred. I haven't picked that up yet, but I am giving it some serious consideration. Particularly now I've got this in hand, because again, as with the other Battlestar Galactica items that I've now acquired, it wasn't really something that was on my to get list, I have to say. I have to be perfectly honest. The Star Trek ships sort of got me in, but it wasn't until I actually saw some of these in real life at one of the Star Trek conventions at the Hero Collector stall that I got a real sense of just how detailed and how hefty they actually are in terms of size. I mean, you can see it. So here again, as I did this with some of the other ships, these are my hands. You can see just how big this ship actually is. So it really does well in terms of scaling and in terms of the detailing. Is it 100% screen accurate? Well, each of them were slightly different, so I don't think they could ever get one model that would be 100% screen accurate, and I strongly suspect, given the paint working and some of the Aztecing that they've used on here, that any two of the models are identical either, with some of that sort of battle damage wash that's been included. So in all fairness, I think it's probably safe to say that it's going to be as good as it could ever be in being a screen accurate. So from that point of view, I'm happy to accept it at face value as one of many Cylon Raiders in the fleet of Cylon Raiders, and with that in mind, I'm happy to accept that it's as screen accurate as one could probably get, short of saying, oh, that's Cylon Raider number 47 from season 4, episode 13, for example. Please don't check that, because it's utterly arbitrary and not true. I will also just quickly run this in front of the camera. It is, of course, the Battlestar Galactica, and there's a lovely picture of it. It's the modern Cylon Raider little booklet that comes. You get a little booklet with all of these, as you all know by now. It tells you a little bit about the ship, the classification, what its function is, military, what a surprise. There's some lovely artwork within it to give you some nice shots of what the ship looks like. There's plenty of background to the various different ships. You do get some nice photos. There's the base star, modern base star, which looks similar but different to the old classic base star. Some lovely cutaways that show you the design and what we have basically under the skin of the ship, if you will. And then some concept art. So you get a lot of bang for your buck when you add in the added value of those magazines. So I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the quality of the detailing that goes into there, as well as the quality that goes definitely into this ship. And as I said before, I am really taken with what I mean. I appreciate it's the work of the designers on the show, but I love how it's translated into this model, because you can really get a sense that this is a sentient or semi-sentient vessel, and that is explored in one or two of the episodes of the series, as I think I've alluded to already. So, would this be something that you think belongs in your collection? Well, if you are a fan of Battlestar Galactica, new seasons or old series, then I think you're going to want to have this. Certainly, as I said, I was not hooked on the idea of it. Then I saw them in real life and I thought, wow, actually they are a really high quality build, beautiful sculpt. I need it. And now I have it and I'm really, really pleased. I'm really, really pleased. They display very well. They photograph beautifully. And again, I'll just give it another little spin around. And as I say, I'll put some photos in at the end of the video, as I do try to always do. So you can see how it photos. I'll get it against a star cloth, add a bit of lighting, and I'll probably also try to add in a couple of shots with the modern Colonial Viper as well, just so you can get a sense of how they scale together and how they work together when you're doing some model photography, etc., etc. So I hope this has helped you make your mind up. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I think they've reached 25 models in the Battlestar Galactica range, and they appear to have stopped at 25. So I don't think they're doing any more. I also don't know if they're restocking, which is causing me a couple of issues with some pieces that I really want to get my hands on. So if you are interested in this, do go and check out the Hero Collector online store. Equally, you may want to check out certain stalls when you're at toy fairs or conventions. Some people will sell them on through their own retail companies and their own stalls by extension. Or if you get to a Star Trek convention, possibly something like Destination Star Trek in the UK, but also globally, they operate them globally, might be worth looking for Hero Collector stall there, because that's where I saw the first wave of Battlestar Galactica ships that sold it to me. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. I hope that you found this of interest. If you have, do smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. It really helps the channel and helps me by extension, particularly if you have found this of use and it's helped you decide whether you do need it in your collection, or actually now you've seen it, it's going to be a bit of a pass. Obviously let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to know what your thoughts of this are. So once again, thank you for being a fantastic audience. I have been the Time Travelling Toy Collector. This has been a modern Cylon Raider from the Battlestar Galactica official ships collection, brought to you by Hero Collector. And it just remains for me to say, take care, keep safe, and remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. So say we all.